Mental health is a hot topic at the moment because one of the things the pandemic has done is put a spotlight on a lot of mental health issues. But I find that we sometimes forget about the everyday triggers to our mental health, things like traffic, work stress, and relationship and family challenges. So today I'll be talking to Dr. Maymunah Kadiri about our mental health and how we can ensure we stay sane and mentally healthy in this fast-changing world we live in. Dr. Maymunah is a mental health advocate, psychiatrist, psychotherapist. In 2017, she produced a Nigerian mental health awareness documentary called Little Drops of Happy. She's also a columnist in the Guardian newspaper, and she recently became the best-selling author of the book Deep Expression. Dr. Kadiri is also the founder of Pinnacle Medical Services Limited. Welcome, Dr. Kadiri. Thank you for being one of the friends of the house, because you've been on a few times before, and taking the time to speak with me today. It's really an honor to have you here with me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure being on board.
I love your hat. I think it's like super cool.
It's part of prioritizing my mental health.
Awesome. So let's delve right in. So we're talking about mental health support today. What is the difference between mental health support and mental health?
Very important question. Thank you very much for that. And it's good for us to quickly delineate that and lay emphasis on what mental health is as against what mental health support is. When you hear both words or statements, you know that English-wise, it's just easy to just know that mental health is mental health, or mental health support is support for mental health. So what is mental health, according to the World Health Organization? Is the ability for an individual, number one, to realize your potentials in life. Number two, ability to deal with the day-to-day stressors of life. Number three, ability to work productively and fruitfully. Last but not the least, the ability to give back to your community or, your society. Down in that four sequence will really help us to have a nation. But again, you can look at it differently. We can also say that mental health refers to the BCE in the absence of D. When you look at the letters, BCE in the absence of D. And what do I literally mean by that? Mental health refers to behavioral, which is the B, cognitive, which is the C, and emotional well-being of an individual. The moment a D comes in, there's a disease condition, it becomes a disorder. So if you don't want to go through the other four steps I talked about, ability to realize the potentials in life, deal with the day-to-day stressors, work productively and fruitfully, and give back to the society, look at the BCE without the D. Refers to the behavioral, cognitive, and emotional well-being of an individual without the D, which is the disease or disordered condition. So mental health refers to how we think, feel, and behave. But what is support? Support just literally means the support we get from ourselves, from family members, from loved ones, from colleagues at work, from the society in general. That is where we talk about mental health support. So when people hear the word mental, please wait for the word that comes after it. Is it health or an illness? All of us have mental health. What we do not all have is a mental illness. And so this is where the stigma, the discrimination comes in when people just say the word mental. Because, colo mental, this is where the stigma and discrimination comes in. So we all have mental health, but studies and statistics says that 1 out of every 4 individuals in the world we have a mental health illness in their lifetime, including Nigerians. So we're not saying in the world, in the absence of Nigerians. No, we are talking about in the world, including Nigerians. So that is the difference between mental health and mental health support.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maymunah. And you know, you've explained it in such a succinct, easy to grasp manner. I love BCE with the absence of D. In fact, I'm going to make it a song. BCE with the absence of E.
Without the D.
Thank you so much for explaining it. And you know, there's something you said there that is actually quite pungent, which is that we all have mental health. Every single one of us. And at the beginning, when I was complimenting your hat, you had said that is part of your
mental health,
looking after your mental health. And to a lot of people that may sound strange, but I get it. It makes you happy. You've talked about behavioral, cognitive, emotional. Your hat is the emotional. You know, so I get that. Thank you so much for that. As individuals, what role do we have to play in improving the level of mental health support in Nigeria?
As individuals, and I like the fact that you said as individuals, because who make up Nigeria, the society, who make up the 7 billion people in the world? It starts with an individual. So for you as an individual, the first rule is knowing that you are here on earth to be the best you are destined and to desire to be. So what do you do in your own little space, in your own corner, in your own unit, in your own family, in your own department, in your own community, in enhancing mental health support? It starts with the right mindset. Telling yourself that I understand that mental health is intrinsically linked to my physical health, and I have to be intentional and deliberate about it. Mental health is changeable. Mental health is not fake news. Mental health is not get up and smell the coffee. Mental health is not snap out of it. Mental health is you as an individual. It makes up your health holistically. You cannot remove it from your physical health. Once we understand that, it enables us as individuals to begin to start building what we call the culture of compassion. This is where the support comes in. When we don't have the culture of compassion, people are not able to understand or feel how other people feel. This is where the empathy comes in, which is part of support. But of course, starting from an individual, you have to understand that you know yourself. When they say physicians know yourself, it's not all about physicians, it's about you as an individual. And of course, hand in hand, hands on deck with all the people in the society, in your family, of course, first, in your unit, in your department, in your office. When you begin to build that culture of compassion, it will encourage help-seeking behavior. It will allow people to speak up and speak out. It will help to build safe spaces where individuals will be heard, will be listened to non-judgmentally, wouldn't be criticized, wouldn't be judged, and most importantly, as Nigerians, we wouldn't be apostolic towards them. This is where mental health support comes in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And like you said, as individuals, we need to learn compassion. And I dare say we also need to learn empathy. When we begin to be kind to ourselves, number one, and kind to each other, we're able to support each other in terms of our mental health. Thank you so much for that. So everyone talks about the major mental health challenges, but not enough about the everyday triggers to our mental health. Can you please very quickly speak a little bit on this?
Triggers are everywhere. There are triggers right where you are sitting. There are triggers right where I am. Triggers, can come from all the 5 senses that are around us. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, what you hear, what you perceive. Like the social media space right now is filled up with so much. So, and you cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unhear what you have heard. You cannot unsee what you have watched. So triggers are in our everyday lives. But what we make of these triggers, how we view these triggers, how we, absorb these triggers, these are the ways that can either make or break us. So triggers can be me waking up now and I know I'm supposed to be here sitting with you and having this discussion, and I'm giving excuses that, there's no light, this is this, I will be throwing tantrum, people around you will start getting angry because I woke them up very early on Saturday. It's usually our, day that we all sleep into like 11, 12, noon, and me, I'm now fusing up and down. So little things can set somebody up. And this is why we are very particular when we say building a culture of compassion. Knowing yourself is important. So when there are issues, don't be in denial. And when somebody is telling you about his or her issues, do not trivialize them. So triggers can come from anybody. Triggers can even come from you, about the pessimistic views you have about life, about the negative self-talks you have about life. So triggers can be anything. If you're a Lagosian, we all know what traffic looks like, right? But if somebody in Ibadan is telling you, you're like, what do you mean by that? So these are some of the things that can make, and that is why we are saying, let your support start from your own little corner. Make your space home friendly. House is different from a home. How many of us are intentional about making sure where we live is a home where you are coming to, wherever you are in the world, you are looking forward to coming to your home, not necessarily a house. Make it stress-free, a happy place for family members and friends that come around you. So that triggers can be minimized. The truth is that stress will never go away. It's part of our everyday life. But how you view stress can make or break you. You are only stress-free when you are 6 feet down or when you are in the morgue. So stress is there. You can't totally avoid stress, but you can be aware of what is stressing you. You can acknowledge what is stressing you, and then you begin to adapt, adjust, and accept that you are stressed and you want to work on it.
Wow, thank you so much. You see, I'm going to take you back to B, C, E without the D, because a lot of the times we don't realize that we can only control our actions. We can't control the next person's actions. So that goes to behavior, cognitive, emotional. And then the D happens when we do not adjust ourselves accordingly. And then we end up having some illness or the other because we're not managing our stress levels properly. Thank you so much for explaining that. There's something that I always find very curious. Young people versus older people. Do they experience the same everyday mental health challenges?
It's like you saying me and my daughter. My daughter is not going to be worried about school fees. I have to pay the school fees, like literally. But ours is to just make sure that she passes and I don't have to repeat, the fees again. She wouldn't bother about house rent. She wouldn't bother about some certain things. So yes, there are age differences when it comes to certain mental challenges. But the truth is that most of our mental health conditions, diseases, is not a respect of anybody. And that is where I always need this in the board. There is nobody on earth, including myself, speaking now, that being an expert does not make me immune to having a mental illness. It doesn't. So that is why we would always say, as younger people, as against old people, we find out that mental and behavioral disorders, when it comes to dementia, is more among the elderly than the young. But we find out that depression is more among the females than the male. Suicide is more among the males than the females. So there are gender differences, there are age differences. But one key thing between this age difference, whether you are young or old, is that the millennials and generation Gen Z, they are the therapy generation. They came to change the narrative on how we view mental health. The way myself and baby boomers and generation Gen X or Y, we think about mental health is different from the way millennials and Gen Z will think about mental health. They will come to us, our children come to us and say, I think I have depression, mommy, and I need therapy. and then we will start casting and binding. God forbid. What do you mean? Devils. No. This is a spiritual attack. Village people are after us. Wash your mouth. I bind, I cast. Let us fast and pray. Our children know what it is that is going on with them. So they come, and so that is why we have to go back and start talking to families, to parents, so that they will understand. When their children come to talk to them, they will listen non-judgmentally to understand their children, not necessary to respond. Because it's very easy for us to respond. I pay your school fees, you have a roof over your head, you have clothes before COVID, and you go for summer holiday. Well, of course, when COVID happened, everybody has to sit down in their house. COVID told us to be calming down, right? But the truth is that you start narrating everything you do for this child or these children without listening to understand what that child is going through. This is why we are now having children becoming more depressed, suicidal. I've had a 9-year-old who had killed himself.
Wow.
And you wonder what is a 9-year-old thinking about? There's cyberbullying. There's school bullying. There are children living in a hostile environment, in a toxic relationship in their homes because there's domestic violence in that home. And let's not forget, with the advent of COVID-19, there were other 2 pandemics within the pandemics. Increase in gender-based violence and increase in mental illnesses. These were not declared global pandemic, but they are on the increase and there is exponential. So we find that there are children that we thought their fathers and mothers were demigods, but within the COVID period, especially during the lockdown, they were in a hostile home environment and toxic relationship with their parents. So we are now seeing children, especially adolescents, becoming more depressed, suicidal, and even killing themselves.
Wow. in a few seconds, you've literally just smashed the table. And there was something you said at the beginning that really rung true. Listening in a non-judgmental, non-responsive manner, because you're 100% right. A lot of the times, parents and adults, we don't necessarily hear. We're very quick to respond. I've done this, that, and the other. So we're not really hearing. And then we're placing judgment. And the child goes off feeling that they haven't been heard.
Yeah.
You know, and then depression sets in. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. I really hope that.
Let me give you a real life example. Let me give you a real life example. We launched our book on the 11th of July. So we have 11th of August, 11th of September. This is just basically like 2 months plus now. This is it, deep expression. We have seen 21 teenagers within these 2 months. 21. And out of that 21, 18 of them have been suicidal and have attempted suicide twice. I'm not talking about Caucasians. I'm talking about Nigerians, you and I. Because the book will expose you to asking yourself questions. We teach you how to normalize mental health conversations. We teach you how to listen non-judgmentally to understanding what your child is telling you as against responding. And parents are now beginning to ask their children these questions, and their children are like, Dad or Mom, why are you asking me now? I've been self-harming myself for the past 3 months or 6 months. Look at my hand.
My goodness.
Because they are now able to build that culture of compassion in their homes, which was absent. For the fact that you care for your child, school fees, a roof over their head, food on their table, no. The millennials and Generation Z, please listen attentively if you are a parent. They are the therapy generations. They have come to change the narrative, how we view mental health and mental illnesses. They will tell you what they are feeling and how they are feeling, because they've gone to Google, they've run tests, and they know that they are depressed.
Is there a 5-step guide we can follow and start implementing? I mean, start implementing now, immediately, to protect our mental health. I want a 5-step guide that even I can write down, put it on my mirror, and say every morning, every day, this is what I'm going to do.
Let's make it easier for everyone. Let's make it an 8-step guide.
Awesome.
Yeah. So why am I saying 8-step guide? because I want to use an acronym that is very relatable, and we can begin to start one or more of these steps I want to highlight. And it's called self-care. People need to understand that self-care is absolutely not selfishness or self-preservation. Why? Because you cannot give what you do not have. So you have to have it in abundance and operate from a place of abundance as against a place of deficit. So that's why I say let's make it a step. Self-care, the SELFCARE, 8-step guide. What is the S? Self-awareness. That's something that everybody must institute, be deliberate and intentional about. Be self-aware. Know your stressors. Know who is stressing you. A lot of time people ignore that. Who is my stressor? Thinking is every other thing, no, minus the who. Somebody may be stressing you. Know what is stressing you. Know where the stress is coming from. Know at what time this stress is more. If you start doing stress journaling, starting from even today.
Dr.
Right?
Kadiri, I don't want to interrupt you, but I really want you to go through self-care very quickly.
We're running out of time. Okay, yeah, okay.
So number one, self-awareness.
Number one, self-awareness, yes. So knowing what it is stressing you so you'll be able to manage it. Number two is exercise. Exercise 30-45 minutes, brisk walk 3 to 4 times a week is very important.
Or even just cleaning your house.
Exactly. L is limit exposure to excessive news and social media. We know what fake news is all about and all. That can easily mess up your mental health. The F is find and engage in pleasurable activities. Anything that is pleasurable, that keeps you calm, is something you can start now. C is connect. Connect with people, the right set of people around you, family, friends. This is where the Sorosoke comes in. The connect with people rather. And the A is ask for help. This is where Sorosoke comes in. Asking for help is a sign of strength and never a sign of weakness. R is rest and sleep. There's no accolades, no award for the busiest person on earth. Find time to rest and sleep. You need it. And the last, the E, is eating right. With COVID, there was boost your immunity. So SELFCARE, 8 steps to prioritizing, optimizing your mental health. Pick one today and run with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Kadiri. Honestly, that's such a wealth of knowledge. Self-care. Self-care.
Yeah.
My own favorite part is our rest. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here today to speak with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you too. Have a lovely day.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
So in a few seconds, we're going to very quickly round up the show. So please stay tuned with us. I hope this has been really, really productive. Remember, self-care.